Hello and welcome back to Champions and Beyond. Now in today's video I'm doing an in the spotlight on Spider-Ham in a leadership build that I previously used in one of my what if scenarios. I had a lot of fun with this deck. I know a lot of people enjoy him in leadership and I can see why. I wanted to kind of show off the deck that I built and explain through some of the choices and why I've gone for specific cards. So we obviously have his 15 hero cards. If I need to go through any of those, then I will bring them up on screen as we're talking about certain types of cards. This is a 41 card deck, so close to that 40 mark. And there are the odd cards that you could cut. There's definitely a couple that don't work as much for theme, but generally this is quite a thematic deck, quite a thematic leadership deck. So first of all, resources. Just your bog standard staples almost for most decks. I've gone for strength, energy and genius. There are no other resources in this deck, but we do have a couple of resource generators. Not a lot really to say about him. He does have quite a few 2-cost upgrades throughout his kit, and then they're going to help pay for the allies as and when they can come out. So as I said, we do have some resource generators. So for a Web Warriors deck, Web of Life and Destiny is almost an auto include, especially when you're going to be running the Web Warrior allies. So this is going to help with card draw throughout the game. Very simple reason why that is in the deck. Now we've gone for 1 copy of Team Building Exercise. I had considered putting 2 in, but was a little bit overkill. Now, Team Building Exercise will not only trigger off every single one of his 15 signature cards, because they are all cartoon traded, and he is cartoon in both forms, but it will also trigger off helping to pay for any Web Warrior allies as and when they come into our hand. So it hits a lot of cards, 15, 5 Web Warrior allies. So yeah, 20 cards in this deck it will hit. We've gone for a copy of Helicarrier. This is one of those that I think, with his mechanic for his tune counters, with everything else, this is maybe one of the ones that could be cut. For multiplayer, this is very good to help put down to help other players out. Very good support, like it always has been as far as this game's concerned. So a great option for multiplayer more than solo. I don't find it tends to get down the table as much during solo plays. But again, he does have quite a few events that are 1 cost, so if you're looking at keying off those multiple events and that sort of thing, it can help pay for an extra card on your turn. Now, the final resource generator is, again, almost a no-brainer for Spider-Ham. So, Clarity of Purpose. Not only does it generate you the resource, it will deal you a damage, which will trigger your ability to get a tune counter. So essentially you can see this as a 1-cost support. I say support, but it's actually an upgrade, but you can see it as a support. It's a 1-cost that will every turn generate you 2 resources. And at least 2 resources, as we will see when we go through the allies. So fantastic pick for Spider-Ham. Very easy to decide to put that into the deck. So we will go on to allies next. So our first ally is the one that's not as thematic. It's not the Web Warrior, but it is Professor X. Having that additional way to confuse gives you 4 ways, especially considering your 3 swinging web pigs that you have in the deck. You have 4 ways amongst the deck pass to confuse, to be able to roll down to help you use the Daily Beagle, which is a great alter ego support to get you 2 encounters, and also recover, which he's got a high recovery and you'll want to take damage, so being able to heal and get yourself more 2 encounters just helps the snowball effect. So he's the least thematic out of our allies. We then go into SPDR, so Penny Parker. Again, you should always be able to trigger off the bouncing her back to your hand ability. So once you've got her, every turn you're going to be doing, well, the first turn you're going to be doing a damage, the next turn you're going to be removing 2 threat, bouncing her back to your hand, playing her, you'll get to draw a card with Web of Life and Destiny, playing her again and dealing an additional damage, ready for the next turn to do it all over again. Very solid ally, very easy to get that bounce back mechanic and just help build up your momentum as you go through the game. We then have Ghost Spider, so Gwen Stacy. Again, 1 thwart, 2 attack. Spider-Ham doesn't have a ton of ways to do a massive amount of damage, so burning through her, using her attacks, and then being able to get one of his cards, which he does want to have, or at least have the option to have, when she leaves play, is fantastic, because you're with Web of Life and Destiny, you are drawing 2 cards when she leaves play. Now we have our Spider-Man, and the first one is Superior Spider-Man, so Otto Octavius. Now, the reason I said about Clarity of Purpose being potentially 2 resources in 1 turn, if you play Otto, you can ready Clarity of Purpose. So you could use it a second time and get yourself 4 resources essentially in a turn. Failing that, you can use him to ready up your cards. The Giant Wooden Mallet or Organic Webbing. So you can either increase your attack twice for a turn, or you can even ready twice for a turn. By the time that you have both of these down, you're looking at 3 thwart, 2 attack. Potentially this makes it, with Otto coming in, you have 4 attack twice with overkill, or you have 2 readies. So there's a few different targets for Otto. He's one that I really slept on for quite a while, but sort of going back and trying to think about the interaction there with some of his signature cards and with Clarity of Purpose, he makes a lot of sense. In my Spider-Ham protection decks, Otto probably wouldn't make it, but having Clarity of Purpose as that 3rd target makes a big difference for his viability. We then have the punk rocker, Hobby Brown. So again, 2 thwarts great, 1 attack's fine. You want him, especially if you're trying to rush down or if you're trying to push that damage at the end, to come in. He can be a blocker, which isn't something Spider-Ham always wants, but because of his leaves play, being able to discard cards and deal damage to the villain is just a very easy option to play to get in. And then, of course, probably the star of the deck, and one of the ones that you're going to do most of your searching around for, is Peter Parker Spider-Man. So he does have the restriction of having to play him using one of each resource, but as you will see with this deck, we are really going to play into as many times we can, get him back into play without paying and without being forced to use that restriction. Every time he activates, we get to ready, so it's very easy amongst, you know, your organic webbing, Spider-Man to get, and especially if you can get Peter to leave play, draw a card, get him back into play straight away, activate again. You're getting 3 or 4 activations a turn for Spider-Ham. I have 2 upgrades that are separate, kind of go in a separate category. I am including a copy of Endurance, just adding that extra health is just going to help you survive, especially when you're wanting to take all this damage. And then Warrior of the Great Web. Now, it doesn't overly matter about the fact that you already have the Web Warrior trait. This I find is a fantastic option, especially when you're wanting these allies to bounce in and out of your hand. If you can get it down that on a single turn, say Peter Parker is leaving play, so you've already had it ready, you've got SPDR leaving play and coming back to your hand, you can play Otto, and because he takes double consequential damage for attacking, he can come in, do his ready up avert and an upgrade, leave play straight away on that turn. And if you also have, you know, Hobby Brown that you want to leave play to deal the extra damage, you could be getting up to 4 attack, or plus 4 attack should I say. You know, with your wooden mallet out, you're looking at 6 attack, and if you use the wooden mallet, you're looking at 8 attack with overkill. It's probably the most consistent way to get up to those big numbers of damage. It does take a bit of setup. You do have to be relying on getting those allies out of play. And with that in mind, we're using 4 cards. So we're using 2 copies of Get Ready. Now, Get Ready will just help you burn through your allies quicker. Generally, you're not using them as chump blockers in this kind of deck. So just wanting them to do all of their activations as quickly as possible and being able to power up cards like Warrior of the Great Web and your card draw from Web of Life and Destiny. Now, another card I thought to include that will help you get your allies out of play as well as dealing extra damage is 2 copies of Last Stand. So if your ally is on their last hit point, so they're going to be leaving anyway, why not give them +3 attack to help you boost up that damage output, and then they leave play, you get a +1 attack, you get a card draw. It's very easy to start to trigger a huge amount of damage with those kind of cards if you get the right cards in hand. So finally we have our 7 cards. I'm going to remove some stuff around. So we have 7 cards here that are going to help with that recursion strategy. First of all, we have 2 copies of Rapid Response. So this is what I say with Peter. If you can get Rapid Response down, he activates, leaves play, comes back in, he's not exhausted. You can activate him a second time for potentially 2 readies for Spider-Ham. We have the Med Lab. Now, we've said with Professor X and with the copies of Swinging Web Pig that it's not difficult for you to be able to roll down. So having the Med Lab, being able to put an ally that is defeated underneath it, does have to be defeated by consequential damage, but that's majority of what we're looking to do with these allies. We're not needing them to come out as massive blockers, because he also has his 2 copies of Cartoon Physics, which reduces damage to him. We're not really ever in that bind that we need to use them to get rid of. We've then got 3 copies of Make the Call. Again, Make the Call, if Peter has ended up in your discard pile, you are going to get around the resource restrictions by using Make the Call. So, very easy way that if you do lose your allies, you're going to be able to get them back. And especially if all of your allies have gone into your discard pile, and all of a sudden Otto is a fantastic option for you. You have a ton of toon counters on you. You can quite easily grab him back, get him to leave play again. You draw another card, you get another +1 attack, all that good stuff. Very easy to go and scry for the particular ally that you need when you've lost them already in the game. The final card is Across the Spider-Verse. So, Across the Spider-Verse, again, you have to exhaust a Web Warrior character or a Web Warrior traded card. So you can exhaust yourself. There are enough ways to ready up to be able to still use your basic actions. You pay the 2 cost and you can search for any Web Warrior card, Web Warrior ally. So you have 5 different options here. With Web of Life and Destiny, you can also exhaust that. So a way I've really enjoyed using this card is you exhaust Web of Life and Destiny, you bring in, say, Ghost Spider or Hobby Brown, and then you exhaust that particular ally that you've just brought in to go and find Peter Parker. So for 5 cost, you're getting essentially 8 true resource cost worth of allies. Well, for 6 true cost, because you lose this card as well. And all you're doing is you're exhausting one of those allies and you're exhausting an upgrade, which you got in for free most of the time anyway. So you are getting a bit of a better offer than what you're paying out. And that is it. So along with the 15 signature cards, that makes a 41 card deck. As I say, there are a couple of kind of thematic misses, but they help facilitate other things that you want to do. The med team being able to bring back your ally, you have to be an alter ego, so those extra confuses will help you do that, as well as get your recovery stat in and make the most of the daily beagle. So this is the deck. This is only going to be a short video, I hope, although it's longer than I would have liked. But what I'm going to do is this will be uploaded, and then I'm going to upload a game that I have already played using this deck, and it was my Halloween play. So we are going to go up against Expert Venom, and we are replacing the Down to Earth module set with the Horror module set from Mojo Mania. So we've gone for a bit of a horror themed. Expert is more difficult, the status is. He comes in with steady, and you're having to confuse him twice if you want to get that roll down. In stage 3 he gets retaliate 1, so there's less activations for the allies that you are putting into play. So yeah, after this video's out, keep an eye out for that one. This is a very fun deck. I've really enjoyed this, but let me know what you think below, and please feel free to try it out for yourself and see if this is something that you're going to enjoy. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, happy gaming.